Hey, so this is a quick follow-up from our last lesson, just to iterate everything and make sure that it's all clear to you. I'm requiring the unit test again because it's going to help us make sure that we understand what's going on here. As stated previously, there are numerous ways in Ruby to accomplish the exact same thing. There is this thing called idiomatic Ruby, or idiomatic programming, and that just means that each programming language has sort of their own preferred way of doing things. And the first loop up here is the preferred Ruby way of creating a loop. And I apologize for my voice. I'm sick, so I sound pretty awful right now. Anyway, so it starts off and we create sum at equal to 0. And then we say from ... 2. And what that's going to do is it's going to take every number from 0 until the endpoint of 100. It's going to iterate over them in this .each. And then it's going to do whatever we tell it inside the block, which is whatever the number result is, call that m. Sum is going to plus equal n. It's going to end that loop right there, and then it's going to return the sum. And we test that right here. So we got some numbers too. And then we assert that we know that if we go from 0 to 100, it's supposed to be 50-50. If it doesn't, it'll throw an error. And of course, whenever we run that, we see that it exactly works. And we can verify that it works. You can verify any test works by doing this. And immediately you get one failure. And it's on the test sum numbers to 100. So we do know we are getting the correct answer there. Another way to do it is to use the for in loop. This one is considered not as good Ruby practice, less idiomatic, but it is still an option. So we say for I or for in or for whatever, in from to 2, so from 0 to 100, sum it up, take 0 plus equal 1, plus equal 0, plus equal 1, plus equal 2, etc., until we get to the very end, and then return the sum. We test that one out right here, and we see that it does indeed work. And then finally, there's the while loop. This is the loop that you most commonly see when someone is new to programming because it makes the most sense. The downside to it is that it requires the most boilerplate code. You can see that there's a lot of lines here, and you can see on the other ones, they're all much more concise. So there is that one downside to using the while loop, but it's basically the same thing. We create our sum at 0, then we create our incrementer, which is also 0. And then we say, and the reason why we need to create our incrementer of I is because if we tried using sum, it would very quickly be greater than 100. So we need a completely separate variable to store that result in. So we say while from is less than or equal to 2, sum plus equals I, from plus equals 1, and I plus equals 1. So each time through this, it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And it will summarize the values. And I probably could write this to be a little bit shorter by reusing some variable names, but I also might run into an infinite loop problem. And that's one of the other problems you got to watch out for in a while loop is you can go to infinity, whereas these types of loops are built-in protection from running an infinite loop. So there's that. And we can see right here that that does indeed run and it does indeed work. So run it again, everything is still passing. So we now know our code is in fact good.